2014-15.
It's not a matter of will, it's just kind of what I believe in. And that's what you should do.
We're moving on, please.
Resolution number 2014-50, a resolution pursuant to sections 570519 of the revised code, submitting to the electors of the city of Maple Heights at the November 4th, 2014 municipal election, the question of an additional 1.3 tax levy for 5 years for the purpose of the current expenses and general operations of the Maple Heights Senior Center and declaring an emergency.
This resolution is on its second reading. We still have time to go to a third reading. If there's any discussion or possibility to suspend the rules and place this resolution on its third and final reading, we can do that. Is there any discussion? Anthony?
Madam Chair, this ordinance 50 and 52, we're waiting for the formulations of how much it will cost the residents per property, so I would like to go to third reading on both of them.
We already have that.
No, that's the...
No, that's the total millage.
Right.
That's not the,
All right.
You know, like if
So you want the whole kit? So third reading then?
yes, please.
Okay.
this is second.
So everybody has the information.
Resolution number 2014-52, a resolution pursuant to section 570519 of the revised code, submitting to the electors of the city of Maple Heights at the November 4th, 2014 municipal election, the question of an additional 4.7 mil tax levy for 5 years for the purpose of the current expenses and general operations of the city of Maple Heights and declaring an emergency.
This resolution is on its second reading.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a comment.
Is it pertinent to any of this?
No, it's totally out in left field.
No, I'm not being facetious.
That's what's insulting.
Well, perhaps it was, but we are trying to move along, please.
Thank you. I'd like to make a comment on this. We have multiple options of putting on separate levies, and I was wondering what our thoughts were as having multiple as opposed to one. We already have, considering 3 different things for increased taxes. So is there a reason there's 3 separate things on as opposed to one? What are the thoughts?
I think perhaps once we get the information that we need and we come to the point where we are able to discuss it intelligently, then we will do that. I don't think the place is here.
Well, this doesn't have anything to do with numbers. It has everything to do with just why there's 3 separate ones.
It has everything to do with it.
Yes, it does.
Oh, the individual numbers?
Yes.
Well, if anyone else wants to comment on that, I'd like to hear their opinion.
Well, we're going to move along to the resolution 214-54. Did we do that right?
Resolution number 2014-54, a resolution amending ordinance number 2014-27 to make supplemental appropriations for current expenses and expenditures of the city of Maple Heights for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2014, and declaring an emergency.
This resolution is on its first reading.
Ordinance number 2014-55, an ordinance
Madam
adopting...
Chair.
You're interrupting.
Well, I would like to make a comment. We just went on to the next resolution.
It's the first reading.
I don't know if that's doing anything. We can have comments in the first reading.
Go ahead and make your comments.
So, what is the, what's the impetus for amending the ordinance? Did we get something wrong? Did something happen that was unexpected? Why are we changing what we so well researched in March? What's the reason for changing? Perhaps the finance director would like to comment on it.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Oh, okay. Oh, it's too bad you weren't paying attention.
Yes.
I was wondering why you're bringing forward supplemental appropriations. Did something change? Did something happen? Did we get something wrong? I believe that's what I said, ma'am, yes.
that we discussed months after months that we were gonna do this back in May and April. We talked about doing this. What's new about it?
That's what I'm asking you.
No, I'm asking you. We talked about this back in March. We said this is what we would do.
Back in March, that's when
Yes,
we were
did.
doing the annual appropriations. Why would we be discussing amended appropriations at that point in
At the time we passed the
time?
budget, we had said that we would.
I didn't
come
pass a
back
budget, but yeah, there was a
at
budget
the time
passed,
when
that's
the
right.
budget
Mr.
was
Brown,
passed,
please
without
allow them
your
to speak.
discussion, so I'm not going through that. We talked about this. We had said, depending on the tax levy that failed, we would come back to this body with a budget.
Okay,
So-
are we gonna default on something?
Am I doing what?
Are we gonna default on something if
You answer the
we don't
question.
pass this?
You answer the question,
Why would I ask you if I could answer it myself?
because you
Mr.
know
Brown.
everything.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, you do. So, answer the other question.
I guess there's no reason, so I shouldn't pass it.
You sure you don't vote anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, I think that'll do.
I'm sorry.
$900,000.
No.
Answer silly questions.
Madam Chair, I guess I'm gonna speak for myself. I think the question may be, from the budget that we looked at in March and this budget that we have now, do the line item, the difference in which line items show up in the new one? Does it show us what it was and what it is now? Ms. Crowell.
Yes, it does. If you look at your document, there's a comparison between the original appropriations and these as being proposed tonight.
Thank you.
I think before we ask too many questions here, we really need some time to look this over, so that's why I called it a first reading. Absolutely, give you an opportunity. We will have another meeting tomorrow if you are more prepared for questions, or let it go to the second reading. Any other further discussion, or can we move on?
Ordinance number 2014-55, an ordinance adopting the 2015 tax budget of the city of Maple Heights and declaring an emergency.
And this ordinance is also on its first reading. This one's due, it's coming up shortly. I'm wanting to look at this a little more in depth, ask questions, or can we suspend the rules?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Jackson?
I definitely think we need time to, not only to look at it, but it would be nice to have a finance meeting to talk about it. I mean, we're getting this and 3 days we're supposed to vote on it.
Right. It's coming up very quickly.
No, I was going to say we need to look at it more now.
Okay. All right.
Madam Chair.
Okay. Any other comments, please?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Mr. Brownlee?
If I understand this correctly, this tax budget of 2015 is what we had a public hearing on?
Correct.
Was the public given an opportunity to review this document?
They have the paperwork in front of them, yes.
Also, they came 5 minutes early and looked over it? It's very interesting. Okay, I wonder why has this all been pushed back? I mean, if we look here at the original schedule that was given to us by the finance director, it says June 1st to June 30th, somewhere in June, we're supposed to have had meetings, discussed the amended appropriations, which we just received, I think that was today, which is now, July 7th. According to this original timeline, we also, back in June, were supposed to have received and discussed the 2015 tax budget, which is due in a few days. You're correct in that. But now we've only received it over the weekend, the 4th of July weekend, nonetheless. 11 p.m. the evening of the 4th of July, I think it was. So I am troubled that our finance director cannot provide us documents when we need them. I think this is a continuing problem. The same thing happened in March. We had nothing, no information, no finance meetings until the last week of March. We talked about that quite often back then. With the with all the things that are coming up now, it's the same thing. We were supposed to have discussed back in May the amendment to the appropriations. It is now July. We're 2 months almost behind on that now. So that's why we're in this fix. I think that we need to address this issue of getting the information in a timely fashion, formatted appropriately so that we can understand what is being presented to us, and we need to be having meetings prior to making decisions. It's just foolishness to be given something on 4th of July weekend and then asked to vote it on it that Monday. It's pretty foolish to receive it 5 hours prior and then be asked to, if we want to suspend the rules. That sounds like total nonsense to me. We need to have this stuff in advance. We need to have at least one meeting, whether it's committee of the whole or finance committee meeting, to discuss these things. To continue to press the envelope, push the envelope like this is unacceptable. And I know that I and many others will not stand for it anymore. We cannot be forced to make instantaneous decisions and, as Mr. Sefrati pointed out, give our wholehearted trust to an administration that obviously spent the money that was given for trash on something else. To trust them, just say, here, give me what you want and I'll pass it. That is just unacceptable, in my opinion. We need to address this issue. We need to have this information brought ahead of time and discussed before anything comes to a vote.
I totally agree with your opinion at this point. Yes, we need to discuss, we are not even considering all of the extreme circumstances that led up to this delay. And we have had meetings after meetings after meetings after meetings and discussion. And I think at some point, we're going to have to stand up and make some decisions. And we all have the information in front of us. It'll be a first reading. Perhaps we can look at it tomorrow more in depth. Maybe Wednesday, look at it again. It's unfortunate that you think our backs are to the wall, but at some point in time, we have to cut the discussion, agree with what has been presented or not, and move on.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I've been sitting up here, for January ever since. And it seems like every time you guys give us something, it's like rush. Let's discuss this. We have questions, so let's sit down and have a meeting about this before we pass it or not pass it.
When would you like to have a meeting? We're kind of booked between now
Oh,
and...
there you go. I mean, just let me ask you a question. So since we're booked, you just pass it, right?
No, that's not what I'm not advocating that. I'm just saying that at some point, we're going to have to actually make a decision. Yes.
At some point, maybe we have to stay here till 10 o'clock.
If that's what you want to do, that's fine.
That's what we're gonna have to do, if we need to understand what we're passing.
Well,
Because the
we
bottom
can
line
do that in this.
Wait a minute, because the bottom line is, after everything is said and done, it's the council who's gonna get the backlash.
If that's what you'd like to do, we have an opportunity right now, if you'd like to open it up and ask questions.
We haven't even had a chance to look at it.
Finance Director didn't want to answer any questions.
Well, I haven't had a chance to
She
look
just
at it.
refused to answer the two questions I asked. That's strange, okay?
Madam Chair,
So let's go.
Go ahead.
if I may, and I'd like to make a proposal. Tomorrow, I think we are just doing a special meeting again, and it's only
Right.
going over legislation.
Right.
Can we put this on first reading? Tomorrow, we could, if we want to, second reading, and then close the meeting, so we could either have a finance committee meeting or to see what we could do with Ms. Crowell at her convenience tomorrow. Because I think we could go through this within a half hour if there's no objections, and then we could open it up to discussion.
That's pretty, I think you can do that.
Well-
Are you going to be available tomorrow evening for that process?
We have to give a 24-hour notice, but you certainly can discuss, when the title is read, you discuss it then. You just can, it's just a long discussion. I can't,
Now, if you want to.
I can't get a special meeting with this,
You know,
finance.
Just for me, I got this at 1 o'clock, I printed it out, and I did not have a chance to go through it. So that could be my vote, but I mean, I would have tonight to through this. I don't even know if Ron really print this out.
No, I got it here.
I think,
You want to open it up and discuss it at this point? We can also. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Richard.
No, not.
Well, I know, that's what I'm saying, if you want to open it up.
They're talking
I need to
tomorrow.
study it before I start talking.
Okay. Richard?
Madam President, I mean, throwing this out to the council, put this on first reading. We have an opportunity to look over this, and tomorrow we ask for questions and so forth. We're moving forward with legislation, and tomorrow we give our opportunity to review this document.
I agree.
It's fine. So let's, right.
Madam Chair, questions. This is a question about the agenda again. What is the agenda for this meeting? Wait, this one? You said this is tomorrow.
That's tomorrow.
Yeah,
You're adding, tomorrow you're
Okay,
adding
so-
two things.
the agenda is the pink paper that you gave us tonight.
Yeah, it's the same thing as the notice.
So this one, we have to eliminate the first two. because
Yeah, they will be
they're not-
eliminated. But I couldn't,
Yeah.
I couldn't eliminate them until after the meeting. You'll get another pink one tomorrow without those two. Everything moves up. That's
So, this is just not necessary, these on the third
Right,
reading are
right.
not necessary.
Right, that's an amended public notice.
Okay,
So,
how comes, so we called all three meetings with the same agenda originally.
yes,
And so this is the, amending just the one for Tuesday.
correct.
So the one for Wednesday still has the same original agenda. Seems kind of a
Wednesdays,
backward
whatever,
way of doing it.
because I have no way of
Um,
knowing what you pass or suspend. So if you'd like something
Yeah.
additional for Wednesday's meeting, I could do that. 'cause I
So
could
we
get
called
another
three
notice.
meetings with the exact same agenda, knowing that there wouldn't be those items on those agendas those days.
No, I said pending
Madam
legislation.
President? Madam President?
Yes.
Wait, who's?
Just-
what-
I'm just making a comment for you. The reason that this has been done historically, I'm going to give you historic precedence, if that's all right, is because you don't know if all the council is going to be here tonight. You don't know that.
Mhm.
So it has been historically that agendas would be put out to get all the business done, so that we knew that by Wednesday, or Kathy knew that by Wednesday, all the business would be concluded. But because she didn't know, and the council president didn't know if all of you were going to be here, that's why agendas like that are put out. So it's not a mistake or that she put it out redundancy. It was to be sure that she wouldn't have to do it and everything was included as a public notice.
Well, here's the rub. A resident looks at the agenda for Wednesday and they say, oh, I'm gonna be able to see what they did with the solid waste fund. Oh, I'm gonna be able to see what they did with the operating expense levy. Oh, I'll be able to see, and they'll show up and those things are all done. That, I don't
That
think,
agenda.
I don't think
notices-
that's a good way
You know,
to do it.
The
Mr.
notice-
Brownlee, we understand your concerns.
I
but
thought that
at
was
this
further
point-
discussion about it.
I think that's
But
a
okay,
good
so,
idea.
so
We'd like to
for
move on.
tonight, you've got it cleared up that
I
it's.
hope you do.
This, stop insulting me, please. Would you keep your comments to yourself?
No, you were
Let's
the
talk
one
about
that
business,
was very
Madam
confused,
President.
so I'm hoping that you
Would
understand.
you please just cease and desist? So
I'm going to
Kathy.
cease and desist.
this is
The pink one is tonight.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I see 6 pieces of legislation on here, but there's 7 on this one.
Which one is missing?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 46, 47, 50, 52, 54 is missing from this pink sheet.
Well, I did it at 5:45, so that'd be,
The amended appropriations, you
Okay.
have it in the packet.
I'm sorry, I've been running all day with this.
No excuses. Okay, now, I would like to move on to 214-56, please.
Resolution, let's see, resolution number 2014-56, a resolution terminating the rainy day contingency fund 102, transferring the balance to the general fund in the city of Maple Heights, declaring an emergency.
This resolution is on its first reading. I we haven't talked about this. Is there any imperative to suspend the rules? Is this something that we have to discuss?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Jackson?
That was given to you at the last meeting.
The last
Oh, no,
meeting.
no, it wasn't.
No, wait, that was a first reading, that just happened.
Great. Mr. Jackson, your comment?
yeah, two things again. Something that we have just been given to move from first to a third reading and pass it, again, I think is inappropriate, to say the least.
Okay.
Number two, one.
Okay, the first
Number
reading
two-
is fine in that case, and then you might want to look at it.
You gonna interrupt him, Madam Chair? He's still talking.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not hearing you.
Number two, I think a contingency fund or rainy day fund is important, should be kept as a separate item, because when that rainy day comes, there needs to be something there than this going back to the general fund and trying to find money there. Even when it comes to, and correct me if I'm wrong, I know somebody will, but when we have employees leave and we owe them separation pay, and there's no money there, that you have to go back to the general fund again, I think that's a fund that should be building money up in for those situations.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other comments? It will still be a first reading.
Madam Chair?
Yes?
We asked the finance director how much is in the rainy day fund, so we don't have to go through the 18 pages.
121,000. Irene, can you address the exact amount in the rainy day fund? Sure. Perhaps.
Is it,
$121,250.
That was just a.
yeah, we're at a deficit of what, almost $2-3 million? So right now, we need to balance everything we can, like drawing in any funds that we can
That would be
in order to get out of the fiscal watch status.
I think the rainy day fund was set up many, many years ago as kind of like a little slush fund, so if we really needed to, and we were going to build it up and build it up, and I think the day is ready, or personally, I think it is. But be prepared to look at it again tomorrow, and we'll talk about it.
I apologize if you don't have it. It's simply very similar to the solid waste transfer. Email it first thing in the morning.
Okay.
No, actually, we did give it to us. It was just too much
I
paper.
thought I gave it to you, but
Yeah,
if you
there's
don't have it.
a lot of paper.
Now we're going to move to adjourn this meeting at 6:58.